Hey, what's up, guys? I'm PTC. It looks like Blizzard has made a pretty huge, significant change to Overwatch. They finally increased the tick rate. This is awesome. It's not going to solve every problem, but this is a huge, massive step in the right direction. Now, if you don't know what tick rate is, let me read you a quick little definition, all right? So tick rate is the frequency with which the server updates the game state. This is measured in hertz. When a server has a tick rate of 64, it means that it is capable of sending packets to clients 64 times per second. These packets contain updates to the game state, which are things like player location, object location, what abilities have been used, that sort of thing. The length of a tick is just its duration in milliseconds. So a 64 tick would be 15.6 milliseconds. 20 tick is 50 milliseconds, and 10 tick is 100 milliseconds. Okay, so tick rate is not to be confused with latency or, lag. The latency is how long it takes for you to transmit that data, not how often it refreshes. So people with slow connections are still going to have a problem. Actually, this will probably cause more problem with people with slow connections. Because there's more information that needs to be transmitted, if you have a really crappy connection, it's probably going to get a little bit worse for you. But for everybody else, it's going to get better. What it means is that things are going to happen more accurately to what your client, what your game is telling you is going on. Previously, the game was running at 20 tick, and now it's been bumped up to 60 tick, which is a huge step in the right direction. And it is awesome, and I'm really happy that Blizzard has taken the time and the energy to correct this and to improve the game. Having said that, they can't stop here, though. If Blizzard truly wants Overwatch to be taken seriously as a competitive esport, they can't leave it at 60 tick. They need to keep going, and it needs to be brought up to a minimum of 120. But that's something that we can talk about later. Right now, what does this change mean? How is this going to affect you as a player right now? Well, what's going to happen is when you're in a game, your actions and the things that happen around you should more accurately represent what your client is actually telling you is happening. So you know how when you would run around a corner and you would still somehow get hooked by Roadhog and then you'd get pulled through a wall? That's going to happen a lot less. It's not going to be completely eliminated, all right, because there are other factors. There's latency and the favor the shooter, and, there are other factors in the game that's still going to cause that to happen, but it shouldn't be as bad. Another thing you're going to notice, which is probably going to happen a lot more often than Roadhog's hook shenanigans, is when you're playing a character that has some sort of defense or escape mechanic. You're going to notice that it works more often. So I can't tell you how many times I've been in a game where I am playing as Reaper and I use Wraith Form. I hear the sound, the activation of Wraith Form. I see it start to work on my screen, but then I'm dead. Or with Mei, you use your Ice Block, you hear it, you see it, but you still die. Genji, deflecting, same thing. Tracer, using Blink, same, all that stuff. The extremely frustrating cases where it's like, I know I used my ability to evade that, to block that, to whatever, and yet I still died. And then when you watch the replay, it doesn't even show you activating the ability. So what's going to happen with this is it's not perfect, because there are other factors that are going to be, working against you in this. You still got latency and you still got the favor the shooter stuff. But what's going to happen is when you're playing Genji and you dash away, you deflect, or you're on Reaper and you Wraith Form, or you blink away with Tracer, you should see you escaping more often. So there's going to be less times when you activate your ability to survive and the game says, nope, you're still dead. So that is going to probably be the biggest, most immediate change that you notice. Now, the funny thing about this is that technically, characters with instant escape and defense mechanisms got a slight buff. So Genji, Tracer, Reaper, Mei, Mercy, those types of characters got a tiny buff because it means when they activate their defensive or their escape mechanic, it's going to happen more often. Whereas characters like Roadhog got a slight nerf because the system doesn't quite, favor them as much as it used to. Now, this really isn't a buff and it really isn't a nerf. It's just a more accurate representation of what's going on. But what you're going to see is the really high skill players using Genji and Tracer and, those other characters are going to be a little bit better than they were before. So this might actually cause some future balance changes, because I know Genji has been the subject of some nerf debate recently, and this change might actually push him into the category where he's now, because he's able to use his deflect and his dash a little bit more effectively at the higher rates, he might actually be a little too strong. So, but we'll have to see. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to be discovering in the next couple days. But I'm really glad for this change. It's been a long time coming. Again, keep in mind, this is not going to fix everything. There's still going to be latency issues. There's still going to be favor the shooter issues. But this will improve the game. This is a huge, awesome change. I'm really glad that it happened. Let me know what you guys think about all of these changes in the comment section below. And hey, if you haven't checked it out yet, go to the Patreon page. There's a link in the description, and there'll be an annotation at the end of this video. I've got some pretty cool rewards. If you want to support the channel, go and check that stuff out. But that is going to be it for me today. I'm going to go and play some Overwatch. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you're new, because there's lots more coming. Remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.